Take it. Just made a little. Okay, mach nicht das. Okay, wipe it up. Okay, gehen weiter. Good morning.
Good morning.
Boker Tov.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay.
Oh, I like it.
Yes.
I got my kid.
Today is Feigi's birthday. Feigi's a member in our family, and Feigi's mommy is here with her.
Look, Marsov is here.
Dasi is here with Feigi, and today is Feigi's birthday. And Feigi has a question about how we should handle her on Shabbos. Other people have birds, so other people have pet birds, it's dogs or other things. So we'll talk about how to handle Feigi on Shabbos. First, Feigi will sit down next to us. Feigi sat down in front of the computer, and then we'll give Feigi the answer. Okay, handling birds on Shabbos, which is this week's Parsha, Tishmoidu. There's 3 general Sheilos with handling pets on Shabbos. So Dasi and Feigi are listening up, and anyone else that has pets. Menachem, you have a bird in the house?
We used to have a hamster, but died.
Oh, okay. The birds usually live longer.
Yeah.
Okay, so how to handle pets on Shabbos. So I'm just going to talk about the handling of it, not the feeding of it. You're allowed to feed it on Shabbos, and there's some questions about that, but I'm going to handle a deal today about handling the animals on Shabbos. So first thing is, there's 3 parts to it. One is that the Mishnah says, and it's brought in Shulchan Aruch and the Alter Rebbe, "Ein roich men agabe behema v'lanitlim aleh shem mishtamshem balchaim kolika shem yov alachtach zmoida." There is a takana chazal made in those days. Average person was riding an animal, either a donkey or a horse, and it was a common thing that a person ran out of it needed a branch, so he grabbed a branch off the tree. So Chazal said that you're not allowed to ride on any animal, and you're not allowed to be mishtamish with any animal. So this is issue number 1 that the poskim later talk about, is about ishtamshus and balei chaim. Can everyone hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
Good. Okay, so we put this on hold, ishtamshus and balei chaim, and then we'll go to the second point, which is muktzah. The second issue with animals are if they're muktzah. So the Gemara says, that they said halacha is like Reb Shimon. The machlokes was if there is muktzah or not. We paskin there is muktzah, but they said halacha Reb Shimon. Break the Gemara. That the halacha is like Reb Shimon, there is no muktzah. There was an old man in the city of Kiruya, and he asked the question about Rabbi Yochanan. A coop of chickens, carry the coop on Shabbos. So Rabbi Yochanan answered, it's made for chickens, so you're not allowed to. That's what it sounds like. He said, it was made only for chickens. It sounds like Rabbi Yochanan said it's also. So we see that Rabbi Yochanan does hold of muktzah. Why would it be also to take the chicken coop? Because it's muktzah. So the Gemara says, there is a bird that died, and it's in the coop, and therefore it's muktzah. Because even if Shimon agrees that this the Gemara says that the figs and dates that a person puts on a rooftop under the sun in the summer, so because with his hands he put it under the sun, it's not edible, A, and B, with his hands he put it under the sun, and he decided he's not using it for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Befedish had in mind, so even he agrees. Then there is muktzah. So if there's a chick that's dead, that the chicken that's dead is just as bad as Geroigis. Even a Bishimon would be maskim that it's muktzah. Sagt the Tosfos, Sache my skin is be frech meis, Pirish Rabbi Yosef, the lonok the frech chaim shum nachai chazil shachik boy tinek kisha boycha. that the Gemara says that when we're talking Reb Shimon and Rabbi Yochanan, we're talking about because it was a froyach mace, it was dead. Had it been alive, it would be no muktzah, it would be no problem. Why? Because if it's a live bird, you could play. Your child could use it as a toy. The hesfegi. So your child could use it as a toy. So beseder. That's what Rabbi Yosef said. So Tosfos says no. They ain't need it. The bahig the koyfer nesasal lefnei afrechem lil Shabbos afmem gimel mashmed osel talbo. The Mishnah says that you're not allowed to take a box and put it in front of the birds, that they should step on the box in order to get to their cage, because you mevatel a kli meichono. What's the issue? There's no, if you're allowed to hold the bird, then you could hold the bird and the box together. I mean, what's the problem? Obviously, you're not allowed to hold the bird on Shabbos. It's a befedish. Another question: if you're going to say that there's a difference and if it's alive, you're allowed to hold the bird because it could be a toy for the child. Why does the Gemara say later that Reb Shimon is moide the balchai that died? It's also that it's muktzah. I mean, if it's madoch, once it dies, you could use it as animal feed. You could use it as animal feed. If a chicken died, you could use it to feed your dogs. So madoch, once they died, they're still a muktzah. Kolchka, when they were alive, they're still muktzah. That vadai, that any live thing is muktzah, just like the figs. The dates and the raisins. The dates and the raisins. Gam miklovim, and it's considered muktzah because in his just that gurgur samukim. A, it's not edible. And B, in his mind, he put it up on the gag. So even if Shimon is moed, that's his muktzah. So also, feroichim, the chickens and the birds are muktzah. And that's the way the Alter Rebbe Pasuk in Shulchan Aruch also lataltal behin v'chayiv oif mipnei she'enim roim b'Shabbos k'shem chayim, because they're not roi to use it. You can't eat the meat because you can't shecht it, and you can't even give it to the dogs because they're alive and they're muktzah. And even if they're going to die, they're still muktzah. Even a bird that you could use it as a toy with your child. If the child cries, you could bring the bird and tuki hi, and the bird will make it lebedik in the house. But no, it's muktzah. Okay, and that's the way it's in Shulchan Aruch, in Oirachayim, Simishin Ches, Sif Lamates, and then the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, Simishin Ches, Simayin Ches, Sif Ayin Ches. In the Sefer, there's a Sefer Mincha Shabbos. Where is the Sefer? It's not here in the pile right now. No, it's fine. The Sefer Mincha Shabbos, it's actually a very choshev Sefer. I think he was a grandfather of Reb Shlomo Drimmer. So he wrote us a nice pirush on the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So it's on Hilchos Shabbos, and he writes like this: B'shem marach oir zarua simen peyalaf the oifes hamatzaftzafim bekoilam. They have birds that you have them in cages, and they make very sweet voices. That's not muktzah. Boys and klovin katanim, these little dogs, shem yochadol lanoshim lishtashel ischamim b'mayis achoydev. That the women there was a derech in that place that the women had little dogs, and they would play with the dogs. Okay, that's a minhag amokim in New York too. But also the interesting thing is that they had the dogs for a reason. In the winter, it's very cold. It costs a lot of money to heat up the house. But a little poodle is warm, so they would sit with the balabasta in her arms, the little poodle. So she warmed up. They didn't have stamazoi poodles for no reason. They had it for a reason to be mischam and be moisachoydev. Anyway,
you bred chihuahuas. Chihuahuas were bred for heat. For warmth.
Yeah. Fascinating. Oh, thank you very much for the information. Interesting. I don't think people today have dogs for the heat of it. Okay. So it might make a difference to the bottom line. So the bottom line is that what the Minchas Shabbos says is Yesh Loim Adalav. He brings from the Or Zarua. Yesh Loim Adalav Muktzah Kivin Shehem Yochadim Lakach. That l'chayre they're not muktzah because they're miyuchid. They were designated for this. It should have the problem mishtamash b'balchai. And he brings the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that it's also, and he says so basically, The Minchas Shabbos brings up the thought that it's not like muktzah because he was meyachid. Think about it like this: rocks are muktzah. There's nothing more muktzah than rocks. If a person takes a rock and then chisels the thing into the rock and he becomes a cheer, the avad, that's not muktzah anymore. There's no question about that. So because you are meyachid, these balachayim as a pet, so therefore it shouldn't be muktzah. But he says there's a problem of mishtamish of balachai. And anyway, the Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to use any animal. So I just want to add, I'd say an akuda that I think is very important. There could be, even though the Alter Rebbe said l'chumra, but the Alter Rebbe was not talking in a generation, in a time when animals were used as pets. It wasn't talking about when animals were used as pets. He's talking about when animals were livestock. You had two cows and 3 goats and 5 chickens, and the chickens were kept for lekovid yom tiv to shechtem. Elama, it's there for the muktzah. You can feed it to your animals, but lepoil b'shas ben hashmoshes, you didn't have in mind you're going to feed it to animals. You had in mind you're going to bring it to the shochet, and you're not allowed to shecht on Shabbos. So it's muktzah. You marked it in your mind. You pushed it aside, but Shabbos came in. So you could also use it to, if your kid is crying, to bring in the chicken, the rooster in the house, and savet lebedik in the house. Okay, but that lepoil, that's not what you have the chicken for, and the chicken is muktzah. And that's what Tosfos is talking about. That's when the Alter Rebbe says, also you're not allowed to be metaltal them. So he's because they're not made. You could have used it as a toy. Also but that's because he's a royal. But if it was really made you bred and bought this bird. Think about it this way. That there's some things by muktzah that helps the machshava. Some things machshava doesn't help. You have to do maisa. You have to do a maisa to show that this is not muktzah. So you take you have, if you have a pet, most pets you do something for the pet, right? Fegi just got her wings clipped. Why? Because if you don't clip the wings, then the bird gets a little meshiga. It gets very wild, and it's hard to tame it. So therefore, we just gave it a haircut. So you have to clip the wings. You have to take a scissor and cut the wings. Ein lecha ma'isa gadol mizeh. So isn't that a ma'isa? Why is that different than if you're chiseling into a rock? So l'chayda, it shouldn't be muktzah. There's a Sheilos Tshuvas ad Nidbura from Rav Zilber. Next paragraph, he writes also l'kula. Basically, l'chayda from what we just said. And but he brings from Yabia Omer. I couldn't get it the Yabia Omer, but I didn't see it inside. So I'm quoting it from the Oz Nidburu. That he writes like this: Shehevi Marosh she'osa k'moy tzoreh shebechotzos shefila tzorich lahem tzorich gadol osa lataltal v'yesh lesa yosef balachai keim mishtamshim balachai. So he says le'iser, but again, we're talking about animals that are really like tzerodis shebachotza, animals that were really a part of the livestock, not that they were bought and bred and manicured as a pet. But there's still a problem of mishtamish b'balchai. So look at the next paragraph. The Badei HaShulchan, Rabbi Avram Chayino writes about if you have a fish tank, a little aquarium. So he says, also latofsam, you're not allowed to take a fish out because it's said that you're capturing an animal. It's also muktzah. Even though the whole thing is only a latachshit, it's like a decoration of the house. But he says the fish is taka muktzah. If you want to move the whole tank, that you're allowed to do because that's a piece of furniture. It's mashma that the fish is a problem because fish, no one has a fish to take out of the tank and have it in the hand. But birds, it sounds like the Badei HaShulchan had no problem with the birds. I don't know if the Badei HaShulchan is the type of person he can be medayik so much in his words, but anyway, the bottom line is that you have here 3 shittas in the poskim. One is that hold that birds and dogs and all animals that are pets are totally not muktzah because they were bred and bought and manicured in order to be a pet. The manicure part is I'm adding to it because manicure is like it's mamish. You did a mice in your hands on this animal to show that it's a pet. It's lenoi. It's l'shashua. And then there are those that hold it's asur, and it's really muktzah, just like any animal, like the Tosfos says, like it's mashma in Tosfos. Okay. So that's the issue with the muktzah part of the animal. Now the cage, l'choyre, everyone would agree is lenoi bi'alma, but the problem is that if you hold it muktzah, then it's a bosses l'davar also. Say you have a bird cage on wheels, which we have one, for example, like that. So the question is, you're allowed to move it in Shabbos. If you hold the bird is muktzah, then you're not allowed to move the cage. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says that leniz daitoi, even if you hold it muktzah, but say the sun is shining through the window or something, and it's being a big tsar for the bird, then you're allowed to move it because it's tsar balachayim. Okay, so the first issue here, which is the thing that most spoken about, is muktzah. The question is, Tosfos says basically that the Gemara says that froich meis is because probably the Tosfos holds that froich meis is what we're dealing with, because the froich chai. Why would the old man ask a question if he wanted to pick up the coop and it's a froich chai? He would go like this, the froich would fly away, and he would pick up the kina. And but Tosfos holds says no. When the Gemara says the isbe froich meis, it doesn't make a difference if it's a froich chai and a froich meis. Any livestock is muktzah. A dog is muktzah. A fish is muktzah. A poodle is muktzah. A dog is muktzah. A cat is muktzah. Everything is muktzah. Everything is muktzah. Interesting. There's Mincha Shabbos as an interesting shaklavataria. Anyway. Is it like a klisha malachta leiser, which you can move it l'tzarech gufa makoymai? And then he says maskana is he brings that eye from the Alter Rebbe. It's not a klisha malach. When do we say you're allowed to move something l'tzarech gufa makoymai? I need the space. Come on, sorry, Miss Dog. Push away the dog. Push away the cat. I want to sit here for Suda Shabbos. But if it was a klisha malachta leiser, you were allowed to do it. But he brings that eye from the Alter Rebbe. It has to be a kli shemalachta le'iser. But an animal is not a kli. So his maskona is that if you have a pet dog, it's like avegezetzt on your seat. When it comes to the Shabbos, you're not allowed to be a die and push it away. You could do a kla'acha yad with your elbow. Kla'acha yad, you could push it away, but you can't do it be a dime like hintala, come here, yankala, kim's do. You can't do it be your dime. So, bottom line, again, as we see, it's a machlokes in Tosfos itself, Shulchan Aruch paskins l'chumra, that all animals are muktzah. Elamai, later achronim, I have an argument that some say it is muktzah, some say it's not muktzah. And I would add to the makilim one more point, that today these animals get manicures and pedicures and they get all kinds of care. So it's mamish, that it's like a rock that you carved into it, a thing in order to sit in it. You could say that you could be makel. Now we'll get to the other issue, which is mishtamish b'bal chai. So l'chayda, some animals you could argue is not ishtamshus b'bal chai. If the bird is sitting on here, how's this called mishtamish b'bal chai? On a bird, l'chayda is not shaykh to say mishtamish b'bal chai. By a cat and a dog, maybe you'd say mishtamish b'bal chai. The third issue is tzeda. This is the most serious thing. By dog and cat, actually, it's not so serious. But by a bird, it'll be more serious. Could you put your hand in the cage to take them out because you're capturing them? And could you put them back in the cage? That's the shaila. So now, taking a bird out of the cage, for example, or opening the door for the dog or cat to come out of their kluv, to come out of their little thing, to their little house, their little abode, is l'chayda not a problem because you're not capturing them. The derech is when you have a domesticated animal, if you have a bird, right, or you have any animal, you open up the cage, right away they jump onto your hand. They immediately, you're not catching them. If they're getting wild and you want to catch them, that's taka, you shouldn't do it because it's a question of tzeda. You shouldn't do it. But if they come jumping in your hand, they have no problem. The question is, could you put them back in the cage and then close the door, lock the gate? That's l'chayr, it's a question of tzeda. Let's look in the Alter Rebbe. It has animals that are growing up in his rishus. Remember, the Alter Rebbe is not talking about pets. In the days of the Alter Rebbe, there was no pets. No one thought of such a mishagas to have a dog as a pet or a cat as a pet. Maybe they had pets. They had cats around, for example, or dogs. Eden had in the shtetl. To take care of issues. Many years ago, on Eastern Parkway, many years ago. Today, Eastern Park, there's always a problem with rats and mice. Gefährlich. If you ever walk in Eastern Park, when you look at these, these little nice stones, but you look in the sides, there's always droppings of rats. Gefährlich.
They come from the subway.
Yeah, gefährlich. So my grandfather had a problem in the house. So he said, the exterminator, he said, what's exterminator? Man kann kaufen a Katz. Man kann kaufen von der Gas a Katz. Was nicht? Nimm a Katz von der Gas. Oh, the Mishpacha got so nervous. He said, was ist die größte Sache? But then I'm bringing a Katz for a paar Wochen. He couldn't understand why everyone was upset about it. Bring it in a Katz. And again, it's exterminator. Darf zahlen a paar $100. Bring it in a Katz. So that was the attitude to animals. They didn't think of animals as pets. Bring it on a cat. We get rid of the. Yesterday, someone came to say Shalom Aleichem to me, and as he was talking to me, I see Taka from the driveway. A cat is coming out, a zaftig or something in its mouth. So that's what the cats are good for. That's what the Alter Rebbe was talking about. If you're going to capture them, they're not. It's a Torah. You didn't do tzeda. Kiven shalays erev yavoy lekluvim aleim. At night they go back to their cage on their own. So therefore, what kind of capturing? You're not capturing. If you didn't capture it at night, they would come into their cage anyway. So what's the difference? It's a game. You're running after them and you're catching them. At night they would come back anyway to their cage. It's not like they're not called mechusat tzeda. It's also to capture them. You're not allowed to run after it. It should go into its cage. But with your hand is not allowed to put it back because anyway there's muktzah. Again, as I said, the Alter Rebbe holds it's muktzah. He's not talking about the pet. Little Fegi over here is a very cute Yiddish bird, and Fegi when we sing Zmiris, Fegi is unbelievable. Fegi's zingt alle negunim. She loves Chassidish negunim. She's a koile she sings when we sing Zmiris. Yeah, who knows? So how could you say that Fegi is Tama Balchai? Fegi is a Psahech Neshama. So how could you say Fegi is Muktzah? So Fegi is probably not Muktzah.
She's a Jewish parrot.
Oh, does I? Fegi doesn't speak yet. It's their first birthday, but the Mitzvah Shem will by his third birthday, Dasi will start teaching her how to speak. So what do we do now with Fegi? So you could be makel and say it's not Muktzah, and you could say it's not Mishtamish B'Balchai, but and you could take it out of the cage, but to put it into the cage is taka a little bit of a problem because it's called Seder. As soon as you close the gate, that's called Seder. There is a little bit of a pilpul you could have here because the Bada Shulchan says that why is it Seder? He brings two svaras. One reason that the Chazal said that it's also is because they didn't want people to do any tzeidah on Shabbos. You're going to do it on these animals, and you do it on the other animals. Loi plug, they said don't do tzeidah. Another reason he said is because they're muktzah. If the reason is because they're muktzah, but these pets today are not muktzah, so there shouldn't be an issur. But I'm just throwing it out there as a svara. Lamaisa, pets, I would say pets today are not muktzah. Some pets have a problem, mishtamish b'balchai. And definitely you can't put the pet back into their cage on Shabbos and then close the gate, or not definitely, but definitely that's the problem that we're dealing with. But if it's towards the end of Shabbos and you want to take it out and you'll put it back after Shabbos, then it's not a problem.
What's this? Mishtamish b'alchai? What is? It's a darbanan?
Yeah, it's a gzera derabanan. Maybe he's going to rip up a zmoida from the tree. So it's hard to imagine if you put a bird on your hand. That's called mishtamish bebalechai.
Right.
But mishtamish b'balachai is more like, when you're sitting on the balchai or you're leaning on the balchai, like the dogim that the women, the klovim that those women, what did you call those dogim?
Chihuahuas.
Yeah, this chihuahuas that the women are cuddling with it. So that's mishtamish b'balchai, because that's the ishtamshus that they go onto the dog and get warmed up from the warmth of the dog. Okay, next.
You're allowed to walk your dog. You're allowed to take your dog for a walk.
Yeah, that's something else. You're not mishtamish. There's another issue about if the leash is too big or too small, or if the right leash. But the Parsha is a regular leash that you have for your dog. You can walk your dog, no problem.
Also, milk farmers, they milk the cows on Shabbos to relieve the pressure also.
Right, and because of Tzar Balachaim, exactly. That's mamish, just because of Tzar Balachaim. We see that's one of a long list of things that Chazal will make because of Tzar Balachaim. That's the reason that the Shlomo Zalman said that even if you're going to hold that pets are muktzah, and even if you hold that the cage is muktzah, but if the sun is shining or there's an issue, it's very hot in the room. It's in the summer, and you realize the other room, so that there's Tzar Balachaim.
By a fish, we said that if I take it out on Shabbos, it's tzeda. If I remember correct, you're not allowed to take out a fish for Shabbos because it's sheichet. When the fish come out, it's like
yeah. But what he meant was you're taking it out for 30 seconds and you're putting it straight back. No, not stam. What he meant was sometimes you have a problem with the water, and you want to change the water. He has a whole arichas over there how to change the water in the tank. Basically, he says don't change it at one time. Just take out a little bit of water and put in others. But he meant like, I don't know exactly what he meant. I'm not sure, because I don't, like you said. I mean, if you take out a fish in like this, you could have a problem. But I mean, sometimes, like if a person has if you have a problem in the fish tank, right? So you'll take the scoop out of fish and put it in a bag with water, and you leave it there for an hour or two, or you put it in a negelwasser schissel until you deal with the problem that you have in the tank. So that's probably what Rabbi Avraham Chaim Noah was talking about. Okay, since we're talking about it on animals, we're on a roll with animals, so we'll go for another thing with animals. Okay, so again, one more time to summarize. I think that even though that's mefudish in the Shulchan Aruch that animals are muktzah, but today's pets you could be mekel, although there is a machloikus in poskim, but there's another two issues you have to deal with, which is ishtamshus b'balchai, and the other one tzeda. Putting back is a serious question. Okay. Another thing in this week's Parsha, so actually a shaila. I try really hard to go through Sheilos that are actual Sheilos and that I actually got this week. So where's my cell phone? Anyway, Nishnageya, the bottom line was someone asked me a question that basically had a thing of olive oil, and the cover was left open overnight. And usually he's makbid with gilui. The Gemara says there's a long sugya in the Gemara, twice in the Chulin, the Zora. The Chazal were very, very particular. If any liquid was uncovered, they were scared that the Zoichelei offer, that one of the, maybe a Nochosh or any Zoichelei offer, might have gone and put in a little bit of poison. And it's also to drink. Chazal say it's also to drink. You're not allowed to drink it. So his question was, he's usually makbid about this, and but it's expensive. A thing of olive oil, it was a big thing. It cost $22. So his question was, is there a problem with this oil that was uncovered overnight? So look to the next page. The din in Yeredeya in Siman Kuf Tazayin, which is the halachas of the Guf and Shmiras HaNefesh. Hi, Vegi. So he says like this: Mashkim shenizgalu osram chachamim. That any liquids that were uncovered, Chacham said it's also to drink it. Maybe a snake drank from it and put his poison in it. Now that there is no snakes among us, it's mutter. but the Pischei Tshuva brings the name of the Shaloi, also brings the name of the Gra. That, all right, it's fine. So they said you should be makid even bezman hazeh. There was a sicha that we did last, I think it was last year in Shavuos, a moiridike beautiful sicha. The Rebbe asks about nitzchi. It's a nitzchi Torah, right? The Rambam holds that the Torah is nitzchi. It's a dover omed la'olam. It's one of the principles of faith. One of the Yud Gimel Ikra Mudna. So the Rasag, the Tzaddik asks, I don't understand. Why is it such a, the Eibishter told certain rules to Avram Avinu. The Eibishter told Adam Rishon don't eat meat, and then they said, okay, listen, for Adam Rishon wasn't good to eat meat, but otherwise, after the Mabel, Eibishter said, you know what, you could eat meat. Why can't it be that just like you have rules for your family, children have to go to sleep at 5 o'clock. When they get a little older, they can go to sleep 8 o'clock. They get even older, they can go to sleep 10 o'clock. They get even older, I mean, why can't it be that the rules should change? Why he has a big problem, and why is it a principle? It's mamish a principle in Amuna. It's mamish a yesoida. It's like it's just like you have to know that there's Hashem Echad. That the Eibishter is mamtzi kol hanimtzoyim v'chol hanimtzoyim shemayim v'aretz v'mashemayim lo nimtza lo hamitzim otzoy. Same thing, you have to believe that the Torah is nitzchis, no mitzvah is ever going to change. Obviously, I mean, Rahman al-Islam with Christianity and Islam and other Rahman al-Islam, Karoim and Sdukim, that it's a very important thing. But he's asking Lamaisa, why is it one of the 13 principles? And the Rebbe says that Apich Chassidus, it's Poshet why it's one of the 13 principles. Apich Chassidus is because Torah is not a book of rules. It also is a book of rules. Also, if you have a dispute, like we'll talk in the third Shaila, between the cabinet company and the consumer, was tut man with this dispute? So the Torah also tells you what to do. Like the Sheilos says, a Torah medaberes belyonim, umeramezes b'shnias betachtoinim. The Torah is the Chassidus says that Torah is atzmus amuhus, the Eibishter himself. Anoichi, the Gemara says, Ano nafshik savas Yehovis, it's the Eibishter himself. And when a Yid learns Torah, it becomes kula chad with the Eibishter himself. Also, in the Torah, in many levels of Ishtalshlus, comes down how to handle a dispute. There's a beautiful Rishima from the Rebbe about Shnaim Oichas and Betalis, where the Rebbe speaks about how they learn it in Gan Eden. How did the Gan Eden, they have the dispute of Shnaim Oichas and Betalis. There were two Yidden that came up in Gan Eden, and they were both Makar of a third Yid. And now they have a dispute, who has the schus that he was Makar of this Yid. I found him on Avenue J, and I put on film with him. What are you talking about? I found him on Avenue J, and I put on film with him. And that's why he came to Beis Menachem Mendel. And that's why he cut off his big ponytail and got rid of his chains, and he started growing a beard and grew a kapota and became a Shoyim Torah Mitzvahs. So we have now a dispute. Also, everything that we learn, it's also that the Torah is telling us how to handle a dispute between the buyer and the seller, between two Yidden that found the Metzia in this world. But it's really meramezes b'shnias. The inyan of Torah is not a book of rules. If it was a book of rules, then the rules could change. When up to a certain age, you go to sleep by 5 o'clock, then you go to sleep by 8 o'clock, and then you go to sleep 10 o'clock, and then you can sleep whenever you want. But Torah is not a book of rules. It's a noichi, a non-nafshik sovas Yehovis. The Eibishter tzach herangegeben, and just like the Eibishter is eine mishtana, the Torah can't be mishtana. If the Torah was just l'tzarev b'emes habriyos, to make the Yidden pure, if the mitzvah was to give them schar, if the mitzvah was to make them amalechas kind of a kodesh, which is also true, these three things. But then the rules could change. But because the etzem of Torah is not in order to give them schar, and not l'tzarev b'emes habriyos to make them refined people, and not in order to make them holy people, amalechas kind of a kodesh. But the inyan of Torah is They become one with the Eibishter. When a Yid learns Torah, he becomes kul echad with the Eibishter. And Torah is Ano nafshik sovis Yehovah's. Torah is the Eibishter himself. So just like the Eibishter can't change, Torah can't change. If you believe that the rules of the Torah could change, that a mitzvah could change, that means that you don't believe in Torah. That you don't believe in Torah. You think that Torah is a book of rules. That's exactly the problem. That's why it's a principle in Ikrei Amuna to believe. And with this, the Rebbe explains a very difficult conceptual issue, which is that there's so many Gemaras that talk about medicine. For example, this thing that is a long Gemara, Arichas, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, and there's a discussion about any liquids that was left open unattended. That's also it's mamish. The Gemara talks about it. And there's a long Gemara about this. And the Shulchan Aruch now says that today it's not applicable. The Shulchan Aruch says beferish achshav she'ein chosher mitzvim b'neinu is muter. So, for example, the Gemara has all kinds of medicines. The Gemara talks. We spoke about this. Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon, the first liposuction. Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon had the whole story about Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon was that he wanted to know if he's a tzaddik. So he went and he cut open his belly. He took out a basket full of fat, and he put it on his roof under the sun. He wanted to see if there's going to be any worms or maggots. Lapal, there was no worms or maggots, and he said, "Sisu b'nei meya, ma asveikas shalakem chach avado zalachas kam v'kam b'metziah." Which is this is where the expression comes from. That people say "Sisu b'nei meya." It comes from this Gemara. That so now, if a person would do such a surgery based on the way the Gemara describes it, Rachmana litzlan, would be a retzeach. But if a person learns today this Gemara, if a person is going to learn this Gemara today, he has to make bichas Torah. Well, the Torah is not applicable anymore. So the Rebbe explains that Torah medaberet bel yonim. Really, this medicine is true all times. Bel yonim. The question is if the tachtonim of this world is a kli roi, is a conduit, is a pure reflection of what's going on bel yonim, or not a pure reflection. Sometimes you have a mirror that's a little dirty and it doesn't reflect for what and it doesn't give you 100% a good reflection, right? Sometimes you have a camera, backup camera, it's a shvacha backup camera, and there's small things you can't see, or the mirrors on the side of the car are dirty, and you can't see, you don't have a clear vision. Bizman hashas, bizman befrat bizmanamishnayos, bizman shebeis hamikdash hoya kayim befrat ifrotiyos. So whatever the Torah says bel yonim, the tachtonim was a pure reflection of it. The Jewish body reflected exactly the way it was bel yonim. But bizman hazeh, not always is it a pure reflection. But the thing stays true. Perhaps that is the reason why the Shalom holds that you should be makbid also today and not to drink things at begoli, because he holds that Lapoil, that this thing in the Torah is true, and there could be a tam nisted, even though there isn't a tam nigla for it, there could be a tam nisted for it. So, was tut man lagabe in this question? So, help the Eibishter that there's a simple answer to this question about the oil. There's only 5 liquids that there's a concept of gilui. There's only 5 liquids that are concept. Look here in the next paragraph. The Parsha writes in Yeridea. It's a very long simon, but it's a Parsha writes like this in the beginning. I'll give you a simon that you'll know which 5 liquids are shayach gilui. The meichash chosh. Whoever is choshish, he has a problem. He should be choshish. The word demeichash is dvash, mayim, yain, cholov, shum. Ratzalama, the bizman hazeh in iser begilu, k'mash kosabatur. Elo, roitzalameichash yochash. Bizman hazeh, there is no iser, because there's no machoshim and zoicheli offered around in our homes. But if you want to be choshish, okay, like the Sheilos says, be choshish, because Torah medaber is bel yonim, there's remozim and el yonim. Could you hear me? Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good. That so therefore, the gilui is the meichash. The meichash is Devash, mayim, yain, cholov, shum. These are the only liquids that have an issue. Any other liquid does not have an issue. So the honey has an issue. Water has an issue. Wine has an issue. Milk has an issue. Garlic has an issue. But oil does not have an issue, so there's no problem. Next question is So Bekitza, someone calls me up like this. He went to a Heimish store and he ordered cabinets for his kitchen. So he was told that you have the best of the best, the creme de la creme. You have the perfect Heimish kitchen, but these are very expensive. And then you have the cheapest, and then you have the middle. They're made in China, but they're knockoffs. They look good. They look good, and but they're Chinese. Chinese is what comes from China. Okay. So the very good ones are very expensive. So he said no, he doesn't want the cheap ones. He's buying it for his house, his own kitchen. But he doesn't want to spend that much money. It's but he wants the. So Kakava. That's what he ordered, and he gave him his credit card. So now it arrived, and he says they're junk. They're junk, jibby junk. So he calls up right away, and the owner says, no, but you told me you don't want the fancy stuff. He says, no, I told you I don't want the fancy stuff, but I don't want the junk stuff that you buy in Ace Hardware that goes into every apartment building. So Bekitza, that's the sichsuch here. Let's look in the Shulchan Aruch. Pasuk b'Shulchan Aruch. He sells him any merchandise. When him mekach mum shelo yodav ha'melekech. מחזיר אפילו לאחר כמה שנים שזה מקח טוב, הוא שלא ישתמש במקח שיהיה במום, אבל אם נשתמש באחר שלו המום, הרי זה מוכל ואין יוכל להחזיר. אם החשו עם פחס המום, אפילו מוכר לא יקלי שווה, עשור דנינים ונמצא בו מום המפחיס המדומה. איסר even. is them at machzes a kliv any khalam la helig is a khas amum shalakeh em bekhefet shalom ani roitze. Yes, bekhefet shalom ani roitze. I want a khefet shalom khanem roitze lakeh lit khas amum marshus be yad moy khalam la kach oise kemoy shu ta tikach moy sech varzel mikhi. Basically, if there's a mekach tos, you sold me the wrong thing. We can't say let's make an adjustment to the price. No one could say make an adjustment to the price. Oh, you sold me the junky one, but let's make an adjustment to the price. You can't make an adjustment to a price. If you want it, you keep it, you pay the price. If you don't want it, you tell the moicher, go. I'm sorry, I'm doing a return. So I think it's clear that if a person feels that this is a mekach tos, he says that there is shades of gray. But I mean, Eidos Beinis and Zeburis is a very clear thing. This is clearly a mekach tos. So I said you can't say give me a discount. There's no such thing as the discount. But if he really doesn't want it, he doesn't have to pay. If he really doesn't want it, he just has to say, "I'm sorry," and if the guy doesn't want to listen to him and doesn't want to take it back, he has the right to dispute the charges. Okay, the Eibush shall helfen that as we're getting ready to Zman Matan Torah Seinu, that we should see how the Torah is medaberes bel yoinim, and it should be a full reflection to us and the tachtoinim. Eibush shall helfen shemekabel the Torah besimcha ubepnimius.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Somebody asked me.
Yeah.
Asor Arugim Malchus, why they die?
Yeah.
So it's famous because it's kapore for the 10 shvotim that sold Yosef.
Right.
One of the Arugim Malchus is is Akiva, Rabbi Akiva.
Yeah.
He said, what Rabbi Akiva has to do with the 12 Shvotim? Rabbi Akiva is a ger, ben gerim. His father is is ben gerim from his father and his mother, both sides. So you don't have over here 10 Shvotim, you have 9 Shvotim. Rabbi Akiva,
Uh-huh. So what is the answer?
he said in this week Parsha, it says, the last 3 psukim of the Chumash. If you have also animals, you have sheep.
Yeah.
So what you do, you put them in a
10. Asiri Yeh Kodesh.
Asiri Kodesh. So the lotion is over there. Yavo tachat shifter. Asiri Kodesh. It's a Yavo tachat shifter. All the 9 people take up the shvotim, but Asiri Rabbi Akiva Asiri Kodesh.
Ah, very nice. I would add to this that the truth is that there was only 9 people that were involved in the Mechira, because Reuven's involvement was not so simple. Binyamin and Yosef are not part of the 10, right? So take off 2. Binyamin and Yosef are not part of it. Binyamin and Yosef are not part of it, so you have 10. But Reuven was not there really.
Reuven went to Daven.
The Reuven went to right. So that Mefarshim deal with it. They have a problem with what's the pshat, the 10. So the 10th was either Reuven because he should have done more, or Yosef himself because he was at fault because he made his brothers upset. But the 10th is not so simple. The 9 is the 9, but the 10th is nishtazay poshet. So it goes well with the question. So Rabbi Akiva was like the kodesh. It was like it was different than the other 9. Okay, yeshkoyach.
Today with the new technology, they're coming up now. You have a small chip, computer chip.
Yeah.
You put it in your body, either in your hand over here or in the air, right?
Yeah.
Information inside. Let's say you don't want to have a key for the car or for your house and all these things, right? So you come, you put your hand like this. Let's open the door, open the car. That's it. You don't have to schlep anything. You go to the store to pay something. You put your hand like this. The chip, everything is in the chip. So this chip now, they want to develop it that all the children in Eretz Yisrael should have it. So to check Chad v'Shalom for sickness and all these things. A lot of information. Basically, the government know everything about you. How much you breathe, and how much you run, and how much you eat, and if you Chad v'Shalom you have any sickness, all this is. Are you allowed to put it in your body mitzvah halacha? Because Torah Kaka you're not allowed to do over here.
Right.
Here you put it actually inside the body, and it's something that's starting now stronger and stronger. A lot of people have a patent in that, and they want to develop it. It's similar, like the guy asked me that there's a new glasses that you see straight, but on the bottom of the glass you have like a video, you could see a movie or whatever, right? So he's reading in the Sefer Torah. So now he could make a video that the bottom of the glass you see the nekudas. So he actually looking at the Torah, Bereshit bara Elokim, but through the glasses he could see the nekudas. I'm allowed to read the Torah with this. That's the new technology.
Wow.
Obviously, I'm not talking about Shabbos because you use electric. I mean, Yom Chol. On Monday and Thursday, we read the Torah. I'm allowed to read this. And say,
That's Yemot HaMashiach.
Torah did not change. So this halacha is coming up like we have to develop it like how it's in the Torah today.
Right. Okay. Rabbi Mayan. Fascinating.
Anybody?
Pashtus. The Pashtus, I mean, a person can only do something with his body if it helps for his health, not stam. Not stam for convenience. And glasses with the Sefer Torah is a cute question, but there's not the problem is only putting the nekudas in the Sefer Torah. The Chazal made exeda against doing it. But if it's in his glasses, l'chayda, it shouldn't be a problem. It would be fascinating. You could have the trop and everything, and then you could do perfect kriyas HaTorah.
Next thing, you could have something in your ear that has the music also, so you read what you hear.
But then there's a Sheilos which is Mishnei Koilos.
Are you carry Shabbos when you walk around with it? Is it called carry or not?
Right. What's going on? There's any developments about when the shuls can open?
We have Shavuos, Rebbe. So we can say
הלוואי.
Shavuos.
Did they come out any guidelines or anything?
מה שלומך ישראל?
When is the lockdown lifting?
בסדר, ברוך השם.
Well, I have a question myself that regarding this. We're trying to do backyard minyanim.
לאט לאט.
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
so complicated to do, and respectfully, a lot of rabbanim that actually said,
מה שיש לי
I was wondering myself,
5 שעות.
they actually went out and announced that you should not do backyard minyanim, and they ended up doing it themselves backyard minyanim, which I understand their perspective. But in other words,
מי צריך?
people went out and physically attempt people of doing this wrongdoing. But on the other hand, I think it's fairless to say that, you know, if you're doing it right, today we know already the problems and the issues that can be concerned. A person that feels not comfortable doing it should not be doing it anyway.
Right.
People are staying home. And the people that want to go to the davening, they're not going to older people. They're not going to Chas v'Shalom to do it. But if you do go, it's your chayas, it's your responsibility that you are comfortable with it.
You could look in. They published from Crown Heights Besdin, from Crown Heights, guidelines for block minyanim. They're very sensible guidelines.
מה איתך?
I have in my backyard. We have a few houses near me.
כמה בוקר אתה מפעיל?
3 times a
כמה
day.
בוקר אתה מפעיל את זה רגיל או?
But nobody's near each other except
Right.
family that has
Yeah.
son for dinner.
So what is the Rav?
Okay, listen, if they follow the guidelines,
So what is the Rav opinion about it? Can we
I
actually
think that
create something?
if well, the block minyanim that are following through on the guidelines are doing beseder, but it's very hard to follow through on those guidelines. Bemis.
But
If you do it on a block, it's possible to do. But for shuls to follow those guidelines are almost impossible.
No. But here's the thing.
Because what happens is on a block, especially it depends which, especially blocks that are cookie cutter blocks, that you have a row of 20 houses and everyone has the same situation, like a porch, a front yard, a backyard, or the layout is the same. So you have it on one side and it's very easy. You have because everyone is definitely with the proper distance and so on. But for a shul to make a backyard minyan, it's almost impossible to keep even a fraction of the guidelines.
No, but let me. We are doing it actually. Backyard means that I have a big shared driveway, so we basically take over the whole driveway, and we could put 30 people in a distance of 6 feet. But again, my cheshbon is that also when they doing Kriyas Torah, right? We had this Shabbos. One of the people had a child that's getting married this week, so they wanted to do Ofruf. So we did a minyan, and they did a minyan in the backyard. And the Kriyas Torah was like, I shouldn't, because their family members are okay, they can touch the Torah, but you are not part of the family, you can't touch the Torah. It felt a little distancing, and that's what can cause a little thing. So, for example, if I needed to call to the Torah, they don't allow you to actually go and hold the Torah and give a bracha. They're asking you to stand away from 6 feet. And I'm like, okay, if you're doing this, so why not as well, you take 6 feet away, let me make the bracha, I'll move 6 away, and then you read. It becomes a little bit untasty to the situation that they're looking at it. So I think in general, the whole 6 foot distance and the whole thing, it's in the objections, if you could see the supermarkets flooding with people, the people are going out to do their shopping and everywhere. The distance does not exist, but you could do it.
I know.
The capacity could be less, meaning now you are allowing only 20 people in the shul, so the capacity is less. Okay, but in reality, Home Depot now, they letting people in, and they're not like they try to like they have 300 people, but they have 150 people. It used to be only 20 people. You understand?
I know.
So
I don't know.
That's
And the parks are packed with people. I don't know. It's the rules don't make sense.
I went to bingo. There was full of people last week.
so. My question is not that we are trying to open back the shuls, but in our own backyards, even with halacha, with everything, all the guidance. I mean, the halacha lemaisa, even if you're touching the Torah and making a bracha, if the person is not comfortable, you can use a cloth, you can use the talis to make the bracha, which I always did. But I'm saying is it becoming more and more unattractive to someone to actually go. When you go to shul, it's not only davening together; it's just also being part of it, and that's
Right.
taking it out of context.
Right.
And I feel like the problem is that the doctors, there are a lot of doctors out there, and they give influence to Rabbanim, and the Rabbanim getting results of it, and the same feedback, and some Rabbanim don't listen to it. I mean, they listen, but they say, hey, you take your precautions. You have your responsibility to be yachayis to your family. But someone says, hey, you be yachayis to someone